Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a green tea to get started. Tell you a little bit more about this tea. This is a Chinese green from probably a newer location than what you may be familiar with. Not one of the more common sources of green tea. Scooping out enough to cover the bottom inch to inch and a half diameter of my 3-ounce gaiwan. Water brought to an early boil as usual. I'm going to add enough so the little bit's going to sit above the rim of the lid, kind of create an airtight seal that way, so that the the tea color doesn't change due to exposure to air. So let that sit. Looks good. Introduce this tea. This is from Verdant Tea. This is their Autumn Harvest Laoshangreen from 2012. Now, it's currently out of stock, but hopefully it's an indication of the quality that can be produced from Verdant's Laoshan source. So the 2012 tea may give us an indication of what's up to come in, say, autumn 2013. Let's see, this is, as we talked about, this is from Laoshan, which means it's from Laoshan village in Shandong province. Verdant has a strong connection with the He family that's producing this and some of their other teas, like their Laoshan Black, for example. So, we'll look at this tea and we'll talk about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. Starting off here with the dry. Getting a sniff here. This has got some of the sweet smells. How should I explain this? It's deeper than spinachy, sweeter than cream spinach actually. Beyond and sweeter even than some of your green squash type of smells. So and those can often be associated with some of your Japanese greens, but this one is coming in even sweeter than that. There's still something almost chocolatey, cocoa powdery kind of smell coming off here. I get this. There are some Lushan Yunwu type teas, green teas, that have this kind of smell as well. That's what I'm detecting here. So I'm going to scoop out a little bit and look at these leaves. They are squiggly. They are wrinkled along the middle vein of the leaf there. They are kind of a lighter greenish gray type of color here. If you stretch these out, like I said, they're curled up quite a bit. You would probably have leaves that are more than an inch in length. Again, most of these look to be individual leaves, young leaves, but not necessarily needles. Okay. So a lighter, a little bit of a paler color. I have seen Lushan Yunwu, a type of Chinese green tea that looks similar to this. Aromas are similar to that as well. So, as a point of reference, if this is a newer tea to you, and if you are familiar with the Lushan Yunwu, that may be kind of a helpful guide for you. I'm going to serve this tea or pour this tea now. Turning my gaiwan over to the side, using my middle finger there, ring finger holding on one side, thumb, index finger holding the lid in place, shaking out those last few drops. We'll talk about the wet leaf here. I'm going to give these a shake for just a second. Give them a smell now. The sweet smells that came in the dry leaf have been kind of taken over by more the heat notes as to how this tea was processed. So you're getting I gave some kind of beanie type notes. Yeah, cooked bean type smells. Let me scoop out a few of these leaves. There's a few here already. One that's stuck to the side here. It's a pretty good sized leaf. There's a couple of pieces there that I don't want to get confused with. So there's a leaf that's almost completely intact. There's a little bit off the top, kind of some ragged edges there. But this is a fairly large leaf, fairly thin leaf, somewhat delicate. Okay, let me pull out this portion there and return the portion and pull out a few of other pieces that are going on here. You'll get what I'm finding is I'm kind of sifting through. You get some stem or vein type of pieces there, and that's what I'm putting here. So let me rake through here and also get a little bit more of other pieces. You do have some more tender leaves here, smaller. Here's one that's probably a very young leaf, barely opened, maybe an inch in length. Lighter green yellow in color, and then you have more of what's surprising me here is I'm sifting through quite a bit of these stem type components, so I'm getting larger, wider leaves after I kind of sort through those stem type pieces there. And occasionally I get a younger, very tender, just open type of leaf. Almost just grew out of being a needle or a bud. So setting that to the side, getting to the liquor now. Let me give that a swirl. Hold that up to the light there. Got a fairly bright, deep, intense yellow color there, green-yellow color. You can see some of the filaments floating around in the liquor as well. Give that a pour. Some of the sweetness has returned, and it's there's a bit of a boiled corn type of sweetness there. So we go to the liquor here in the cup. Looks nice, bright here in the cup. One of the first things I noted was a fairly intense astringency. It dries out the mouth pretty quickly. Hits on the front, stays in the middle of the tongue, and continues after swallowing. There's still some dryness there that's still felt more so on the front of the tongue for now. The corn sweetness that I smelled in the liquor here hasn't really jumped out yet. The kind of chocolatey, intensely cream spinach type of components that I got in the dry leaf have not really woken up yet. Perhaps as this tea cools a little bit, something more will come out. Brothiness, texture. As this tea cools, the astringency falls back a little bit. Perhaps I'm getting a little bit more used to it as I'm sipping more as well. So it does, the texture, the brothiness seems to pick up a little bit. Flavor-wise, tastes, still not a whole lot. There's still kind of a roasty, beany type note that's the more dominant component here. Still, the sweet corn hasn't really risen to the top yet either. So I'm looking at this tea. I should also mention just from kind of aftertaste. Aftertaste is kind of dominated by this drying sensation. And it's still a little bit of a kind of a beanie. The beanie carries more than the other components there. So if I were to look at this tea as a whole, I would probably give this tea an 84. not the most dominant components. You'd want to use perhaps with, I should say this way, perhaps with lower temperature water. You might be able to get a better balance of character, tastes, flavor, and while toning back some of the astringency there. Again, this is the kind of tea. These probably leaves from the same or similar plants there at the He family farm estate in Laoshan. Seem to have done very well with the black tea version. Far better than I would say with this green tea version. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find the teas that whether they're used to make greens, blacks, and how they're best used.